Excellent! Let's now begin episode 13 of Whispers of the Ancients, where incense trails lead us to a desert kingdom whose perfume once perfused the courts of kings and temples of gods. Whispers of the Ancients, episode 13, the Kingdom of Sheba, perfume, prophets, and a queen of the South Sea, 1200 BCE to 275 CE, southern Arabia, land of fragrance and stone. In the scorched breath of Arabia's southern sands, where sun and dust conspire to erase time, a lush shadow once lingered, an oasis not of water, but of power, poetry and perfume. There, at the southern end of the ancient world, rose Sheba, known to its people as Sheba, a realm of frankincense and mystery, where camels groaned under the weight of gold and resin, and temples rose like mirages to the gods of wind and moon. Its name echoes through scripture and legend, entwined with tales of a wise queen and a journey to the court of Solomon. But beyond myth lies a kingdom real and radiant, etched in monumental script and carved into stone. Come, wander the incense route. Let the sands whisper stories of a people who turned desert into dominion. One, the land beneath the monsoons. Though often seen as barren, southern Arabia is no stranger to life. The Hadramaut, the Yemen highlands, and the Tihama coastal plain. These lands captured the monsoon rains, turning mountains green and valleys fertile. Here, Sheba flourished. Cunning engineers carved irrigation canals and built the famed Marib Dam, a marvel of ancient hydraulic design. It wasn't water alone that made Sheba rich, but frankincense, myrrh, spices, and resins. Sought by temples in Egypt, India, and Rome, this was the southern end of the incense route, a trade artery stretching from India to the Mediterranean, upon which Sheba sat like a jeweled gatekeeper. Their caravans, hundreds strong, crossed the sands toward Gaza, Petra, and Damascus, leaving in their wake trails of wealth. Point 2. The rise of Sheba, a confederation of clans. Long before its temples pierced the sky, Sheba was a constellation of tribal confederations. The Sabaeans emerged from this weave, likely by 1200 BCE, first as pastoralists, then as urban kings. Their ascent was marked by the building of Marib, a city of mudbrick and incense, cradled near the Wadi Adhana, where their legendary dam rose centuries later. Early kings bore the title of Mukarib, more priest than monarch, a unifier of clans beneath divine authority. Unlike the singular pharaohs or Mesopotamian lords, Sheba's early rule was coalitional, a council of tribes ruled with a king at its head, sustained by piety and mutual benefit. This model allowed Sheba to endure, to expand and absorb neighboring peoples, the Qutbanians, the Minians, the Hadramites, each leaving echoes in stone and script. 3. The language of stone, Musnad inscriptions. Words mattered to the Sabaeans, and they carved th, m into permanence. Their script, Musnad, an angular, dignified ancestor of Arabic. Etched across cliffs, walls, and altars, it was not cursive poetry, but commands, dedications, offerings, and victories. More than 30,000 inscriptions survive today. A chorus of stone voices speaking across 3,000 years. They speak of temple donations, of land divisions, of divine blessings from Al-Mokka, the moon god, patron of Sheba. This was a kingdom where faith and administration were one, and to inscribe was to eternalize. 4. Al-Mokka, moon god of a sunlit kingdom. Though bathed in sunlight, Sheba worshipped the moon. Al-Mokka, god of the crescent, watched over agriculture, justice, and kingship. His symbols, crescent moon, vine leaves, thunderbolt adorned temples and stels across the land. Temples like the Maram Bilqis, the throne of Bilqis, rose near Marib, a forest of stone pillars beneath the desert stars. Priests acted as intermediaries, interpreting omens, offering incense and song. In Sheba, religion was not separate from rule, it was the rule. To defy the king was to defy the god. To build canals, plant groves, trade incense, these were holy acts. If you've journeyed this far into the heart of Sheba, take a moment to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. What other ancient civilizations would you love to explore? Your voice guides our path. 5. The Queen of Sheba. Between legend and reality, of all the tales spun from Arabian sands, none glows brighter than that of Makeda, the Queen of Sheba. She is known through the Hebrew Bible, the Quran, and the Ethiopian Kebra Nagast, a monarch of beauty, wisdom, and curiosity. According to legend, she journeyed to the court of King Solomon, bearing spices, gold, and riddles. In Jerusalem, she tested his mind and perhaps shared more than parables. Some say a son was born. Menelik I, founder of Ethiopia's Solomonic line. Historically, there is no clear record of her name in Sabaean texts, but powerful queens did reign. One inscription speaks of Queen Yatham al-Bayan, so perhaps the legend hides a truth reimagined through centuries. Whether myth or memory, the Queen of Sheba endures a symbol of diplomacy, mystery, and feminine power from the ancient world's southern edge. 6. Marib, jewel of the desert. At the heart of the Sabaean kingdom stood Marib, its capital, its sacred hearth. Here, trade routes converged like braided silk from India, Africa, and Mesopotamia, bringing gold dust, ivory, lapis lazuli, and the most coveted gift of all, frankincense. Marib was a city not of palaces alone, but of storied engineering. Most magnificent of all stood the Marib Dam, a marvel of ancient hydrology. Constructed perhaps as early as the 8th century BCE, this earthen and stone dam spanned nearly 600 feet, capturing seasonal floods and channeling water through a web of canals. This dam transformed the desert into paradise, birthing orchards of date palms, fields of wheat and barley, and sustaining tens of thousands. It was the lifeline of Sheba and its eventual weakness. 7. The frankincense road, gold of the gods. Imagine a caravan stretching from the green highlands of Dhofar to the bronze-streaked ports of Gaza. Thousands of camels, groaning under the weight of treasure, spices, myrrh, and especially frankincense. Resin from the boswellia tree, burned in temples across Egypt, Rome, and India. The Sabaeans controlled this sacred trade, their cities anchoring the incense route like pearls on a necklace. Caravans stopped in Marib to rest and resupply, to pay taxes and worship, before continuing north to Petra, Palmyra, and beyond to the Mediterranean world. This trade brought wealth, but more than that, cultural fusion. In Sheba's markets, one might hear Akkadian, Aramaic, Greek, and Tamil. The Sabaeans became not only merchants, but mediators of worlds, shaping a cosmopolitan oasis in the dunes of time-pate. Kings and mukribs, divine authority and earthly rule. At first, Saba's rulers were mukribs, priests who served as unifiers of the clans under Olmoga's gaze. But by the 4th century BCE, the title shifted to Malik king, suggesting a centralization of power. Sabaean kings were not distant figures. They led armies, built temples, offered sacrifices, and passed laws. They were expected to be just and pious, for divine favor was the bedrock of legitimacy. Inscribed monuments praise kings for their irrigation projects, their victories against raiders, and their gifts to the gods. But kingship was never absolute. Tribal nobility remained influential, and the king's rule required careful balancing between religious duty and political acumen. In Sheba, authority was a dance between sacred and secular, never wholly one or the other. What fascinates you most about the Kingdom of Sheba? Is it the Queen's mysterious journey, the engineering marvels of the dam, or the golden incense caravans? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this ancient wisdom with fellow seekers of history. 9. Rivals in the south, Kataban, Hadramaut, and Himyar. Sheba was not alone in Arabia's highlands. To the west and east, other kingdoms rose, Kataban, Hadramaut, and Himyar. They shared gods, scripts, and customs, yet vied for control of the incense routes. Sometimes they were allies, sometimes bitter enemies. Wars flared over access to trade towns, over the loyalty of desert tribes, and over sacred springs and arable valleys. By the 1st century BCE, Himyar emerged as a formidable power, eventually absorbing Kataban and parts of Sheba. The Sabaeans, once dominant, now navigated a new world of shifting alliances and rising threats. Still, Marib remained a spiritual beacon, and Sabaean identity endured even amid political decline. 10. The fall of Marib, cracks in the divine order. The same dam that once gave life began to falter. By the 3rd century CE, neglect, silting, and perhaps earthquakes caused breaches in the Marib Dam. Despite repairs, the once glorious irrigation system weakened, fields went dry, crops failed, tribes grew restless, and so began the gradual unraveling of the Sabaean heartland. The Himyarite kingdom to the southwest grew stronger, and in time Marib fell under its sway. Inscriptions fade during these centuries, like the dimming stars of a desert night. Once the sovereign of spice and storm, Sheba had become a province in a greater, harsher realm. 11 Echoes in foreign tongues, Sheba beyond Arabia. Though Sheba declined, its reputation only grew. Biblical scribes, writing in exile and empire, remembered Sheba not as a rival, but as a symbol of wonder. In the Book of Kings and Chronicles, Sheba's queen becomes a paragon of wisdom, a queen who bowed to Solomon, acknowledging Israel's God. This tale passed through the hands of Jewish sages, Christian monks, and Islamic chroniclers. In time, it reached Ethiopia, where the Kebra Nagast would proclaim that the Queen of Sheba bore Solomon's son, founding a royal line that endured for centuries. Thus did Sheba, once carved into stone and sand, become a mythic archetype, a queen of gold and riddles, of incense and intellect. 12 The Sabaean script, silent letters in the dust. Long before alphabets took over the world, Sheba wrote in Musnad, a bold, angular script carved into stone. Musnad was not merely writing, it was ritual and offering to the gods. Thousands of inscriptions remain on altars, tombs, and temples. They speak of treaties, donations, wars, and vows. They reveal a people deeply devout, complex in governance, and ever attuned to the divine and practical. Though the tongue that gave them voice is gone, their letters still whisper. They bear silent witness to an empire where gods and kings shared the same sky. Do these stories of ancient Arabia stir your imagination? Which forgotten kingdom or mysterious queen should we explore next? Tell us in the comments. And be sure to like, subscribe, and share to help this ancient story reach modern ears. 13. Sheba and Islam, the Queen in the Quran. When the Quran emerged in the 7th century CE, Sheba's legacy was reborn in sacred verse. In Surah An-Naml, the aunt, a wise queen governs a sun-worshipping people. She receives a message from Prophet Solomon, delivered by a hoopoe bird. She responds not with war, but with inquiry, diplomacy, and wonder. Ultimately, she submits not to Solomon, but to God alone. Here, Sheba is not conquered, but transformed. The tale highlights themes of wisdom, submission, and the primacy of faith over pride. Once more, Sheba became a mirror for generations to peer into, reflecting power, humility, and divine awakening. 14. From queen to myth, the many faces of Sheba. Across ages and continents, the Queen of Sheba wears many veils. In Ethiopia, she is Makeda, mother of emperors. In Jewish lore, a student of Solomon's God. In Islam, a wise ruler touched by revelation. To some, she is a siren of the East, a queen of seduction and strange beauty. To others, a symbol of female leadership, intellect, and spiritual yearning. Like a desert mirage, she changes form in each telling, but never vanishes. In every myth and scripture, Sheba survives majestic, mysterious, immortal. 15. The Sands remember, legacy of the Sabaeans. Though their cities are ruin and dust, the legacy of the Sabaeans endures. It lives in the terraced farms of modern Yemen's highlands, in the chants of poets, and the stone inscriptions waiting to be deciphered. It lives in Merib's broken dam, a monument to ancient genius and forgotten grief. It breathes through the Queen of Sheba, her story told anew with every generation, and it lives in us in our longing to remember, to honor what time seeks to erase. For Sheba is not lost, it is whispered on the wind, in the dust, and through the tongues of those who still seek to understand the empires of yesterday.